everyone, welcome. This is Aso TV News. I am Tina Oje Achu. The headlines. President Tinubu nominates Taiwo Oyedele as Minister of State for Finance, reassigns Doris Anite Uzoka. IGP Olatunji Disu inaugurates committee to review issue of state police. And on business, the Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, signs presumptive tax reforms into implementation, aims to protecting nano businesses. And on sport, Nigeria Wheelchair Basketball Federation invites 16 players for Commonwealth Games qualifiers camp. And now the news in detail. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has nominated Mr. Taiwo Oyedele as the Minister of State for Finance, replacing Dr. Doris Anite Uzoka. Anite Uzoka will now move to the Ministry of Budget and National Planning as the Minister of State, her third portfolio in the administration. President Tinubu has today conveyed the nomination of Oyedele to the Senate for confirmation in a letter to the Senate President Gospel Akpabio. Until President Tinubu nominated him as a minister, Oyedele from Ikaram Akoko, Ondo State, was the chairman of the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms, which overhauled Nigeria's tax system. Oyedele 50 is an economist, accountant, and public policy expert. He attended Yaba College of Technology, where he obtained a higher national diploma in accountancy and finance. He attended Oxford Brookes University and earned a BSc in applied accounting. He also completed executive education programs at the London School of Economics, Yale University, the Gordon Institute of Business Science, and the Harvard Kennedy School. Oyedele spent 22 years of his working career at PwC, joining in 2001 and rising to become the fiscal policy partner and Africa tax leader. Oyedele is also a professor at Babcock University in Ogun State and a visiting scholar at the Lagos Business School. President Bola Tinubu has directed the immediate release of approved funds for the maintenance of Nigeria's space assets in line with the National Space Policy and Program. He reiterated his administration's commitment to the realization of Nigeria's space policy and program as outlined in the revised 25-year roadmap for space development. The president, who was represented by Vice President Kashim Shettima, gave the approval on Tuesday during the first meeting of the National Space Council held at the Presidential Villa Abuja. He reiterated his administration's commitment to the realization of Nigeria's space policy and program as outlined in the revised 25-year roadmap for space development. The president, who was represented by Vice President Kashim Shettima, gave the approval on Tuesday during the first meeting of the National Space Council held at the Presidential Villa Abuja. President Tinubu assured that his administration, through the Renewed Hope agenda, is committed to developing the society by engaging relevant human resources for the socio-economic improvement of our nation. He explained that outer space provides a unique challenge and platform for effective exploration and exploitation of the nation's natural resources as well as the protection of its environment. Urging the space agency to be alive to its mandate of ensuring that space assets and resources over Nigeria are used responsibly. President Tinubu directed the agency to employ all legally available means to enforce the space regulation and spectrum management framework for a secure utilization of space assets and resources over Nigeria on behalf of the National Space Council as provided in the NASDRA Act 2010. And now the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Barrister Ezenwoye Wike, has commenced a thank you visit to the 6 area councils of the FCT following the just concluded council elections. Kicking off the tour in Bari Area Council on Tuesday, the event attracted large gatherings of members and supporters of the Progressive Congress. Speaking at the event, Minister Wike thanked residents for their massive turnout and peaceful conduct during the polls, noting that their support was instrumental to the party's success. He assured them that continued backing of the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu would attract more development projects to Buari and other parts of the FCT.
We have to be careful. There are those now whose duty, in order to deceive themselves, they now go out to buy corn on the road to chew corn. They buy granite on the road to chew granite. What is important is, when they were in office, did they buy corn to chew? When they were in office, did they buy granite to chew? When they were governors, did they go to IDP camp for birthdays? Nobody can deceive us again. Will you allow ourselves to be deceived again? I have said, and I want to say clearly again, we have no business to send somebody to Senate who does not understand what the people want.
In his response, the chairman-elect of Buari Area Council, Joshua Ishaku Musa, appreciated the minister for his support and pledged to mobilize residents to sustain their support for the APC and the Tinubu administration. The tour is expected to continue in other area councils in the coming days. Now, the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria has assured full enforcement of its electronic payments and collection systems will eliminate revenue leakages across the nation's airport. The Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of FAN, Mrs. Olubomi Koku, who gave the assurance in an interview with journalists after appearing before the House of Representatives Committee on Finance on Tuesday at the National Assembly, said the cashless policy marks a significant shift in its financial and operational framework. She explained that FAN already deployed comprehensive mechanisms to ensure that all revenues generated at airports, particularly at toll gates and other collection points, are efficiently captured, transparently processed and fully remitted to the federal government. The FAN MD further dispelled misconceptions that FAN's newly introduced cashless cards are the sole payment option, stressing that the policy does not restrict users to a single platform, but simply eliminates physical cash transactions.
There are at least 4 methods of payments, especially at the toll gates, which has been creating a lot of the traffic. The first is that we have e-tags. With the e-tags that are purchased annually, you can pass through the toll gate smoothly. We also have the VIP stickers which you use. Your own personal cards are also available to work, so your personal bank ATM cards. The old ATM cards that you have might be slower if you have to enter a PIN, but we do know that some of the Nigerian banks have recently issued contactless or NFC enabled cards. So some of the banks have issued that in the last 2 years. If you have those cards, please check with your banks to make sure you have them, because you can also use them and they're just as fast. Then the last mode of payment is really our Go Cashless cards. So we encourage you to pick them up at, within the airport. There's some banks that are also starting to distribute them, but I do want to say that this process will run its course. We plead with Nigerians to please be proactive in also picking this up ahead of getting to the airport.
House Committee on Finance, chaired by Mr. James Falake, is currently undertaking a revenue monitoring exercise covering the 2023-2025 fiscal years, with a focus on strengthening revenue accountability among government agencies. The House of Representatives Committee on Renewable Energy has issued its final summons to the Managing Director of the Rural Electrification Agency, Abba Abubakar Aliyu, and the head of the Nigeria Electrification Program, Olufemi Akinyulore, over their failure to appear before the panel. The chairman of the committee, Mr. Afam Victor Ogene, at the resumed investigative hearing on Tuesday expressed displeasure over what he described as repeated non-compliance by the agency's leadership with invitations extended by the panel. He said lawmakers would be compelled to invoke their constitutional powers to enforce attendance should the two officials fail to appear before the committee on Thursday, March 5, 2026 at 2 p.m. The committee is currently investigating grants, loans, and investment in renewables in Nigeria's renewable energy sector between 2015 and 2024, with particular focus on the disbursement of funds, project implementation, and compliance with statutory and financial regulations. The House of Representatives Committee on Federal Polytechnics and Higher Technical Education on Tuesday approved the budget performance report of federal polytechnics across the country. The committee, however, raised concerns over compliance lapses and staffing at the Computer Professionals Registration Council of Nigeria. Speaking during a budget defense session attended by rectors and other top officials of federal polytechnics at the National Assembly, chairman of the committee, Mr. Fawad Laguda, pledged closer collaboration with the institutions to address long-standing challenges confronting the sector. He described polytechnics as indispensable to Nigeria's industrial and technological aspirations, noting that their contributions to middle-level manpower development remain critical to Nigeria growth. The lawmaker reiterated the need for sustained investment in the polytechnic system, stressing that the country's quest for technological advancement cannot be achieved without well-funded and properly equipped technical institutions. He urged the Committee of Federal Rectors to ensure that a few institutions yet to submit their budget document do so without delay to facilitate effective legislative oversight. In a related development, the committee mandated a registrar of the Computer Professionals Registration Council of Nigeria, Mr. Adebayo Adebiji, to submit all outstanding relevant documents within 7 days. Chairman of the committee questioned the operational structure of the council, particularly the rationale behind managing 8 regional offices with only 58 staff members. He sought clarification on how the council sustains effective coordination and service delivery under such staffing limitations. Responding, the registrar assured of the council's commitment and capacity to fulfill its constitutional mandate. He further pledged to provide all requested documents within the stipulated time frame, reaffirming the council's readiness to cooperate fully with the committee in the interest of accountability and improved sectoral performance. The Inspector General of Police, IGP Olatunji Disu, has inaugurated a committee to review and advise on the widely discussed issue of state police, signaling a renewed institutional focus on the subject. Inaugurating the committee at the Goodluck Jonathan Peacekeeping Hall, Force Headquarters in Abuja on Wednesday, IGP Disu described the initiative as a significant step towards strengthening Nigeria's internal security architecture and improving community-based policing across the country. Our correspondent Richard Alechini Ayube now brings us the details. We'll bring you the details in the subsequent bulletin. Now moving on, the National Orientation Agency has taken the lead in a sweeping nationwide campaign to enforce the federal government's ban on sachet alcoholic drinks and alcohol packaged in PET or glass bottles below 200 milliliters, declaring the move a decisive step to safeguard Nigeria children and vulnerable populations. In a press statement signed by Bala Musa, Director Communication and Media of the NOA, the joint campaign was flagged off at the NOA headquarters in Abuja on March 3, 2026. According to the statement, the Director General of NOA, Larry Saunilu, described the enforcement as a long-considered public health intervention rather than a sudden policy shift. He noted that government had spent 8 years engaging manufacturers and stakeholders with understanding, cooperation and encouragement to adjust practices deemed harmful to national well-being. Furthermore, Issa Onilu emphasized that the issue goes beyond regulation and touches on national responsibility. He called on the media to embrace its role under development journalism, stressing that enforcement of the policy is a collective duty. Speaking at the briefing, the Director General of NAFDAC, Mojishola Christana Adeye, cited findings from a 2021 national survey on underage drinking, which revealed that 54.3% of minors and underaged persons purchased alcohol themselves, with nearly half accessing it through sachet packs and small PET bottles. The survey also showed notable levels of daily and weekly consumption among underaged individuals, reinforcing concerns about early exposure and long-term dependency. The campaign is being implemented in collaboration with the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control and the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, with NOA driving nationwide sensitization and behavioral change efforts. You are watching Aso Television News. You can watch us live on DSTV channel 392, also on Star Times TV channel 127 and Free TV channel 507. We are also on the UHF band on channel 38. Still to come, Nigeria Wheelchair Basketball Federation invites 16 players for Commonwealth Games qualifiers camp. Stay with us for details of these and more stories shortly.
Uyayaka inameka isombrembre ukunizo ikpaiso mbokpa uton komien. I need your odofia. I bless you today as a family little daughter of water.
The heck are you doing here? I'm covering the Uyere festival. You've got to be kidding me.
You will be a great king, the youngest king to be selected by this village.
This is my place, and I can mess with you in ways you cannot imagine.
Many thanks for joining us again. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Y.D. Shaibu, has directed troops of the 4th Special Forces Command to intensify high-impact operations aimed at decisively defeating terrorists and insurgents across the country. The Army Chief gave the directive during his maiden operational visit to the command in Doma, Nasarawa State, where he stressed the need for precision-driven and intelligence-led operations to dominate the battle space and respond effectively to emerging security threats. According to a statement by the Acting Director, Army Public Relations, Colonel Apollonia Anile, the COAS urged personnel to remain proactive, adaptive, and mission-focused, noting that the evolving security environment demands speed, surprise, and superior combat readiness. He reaffirmed that the era of reactive engagement was over, warning that terrorists and other violent criminals would no longer find safe haven anywhere within Nigeria's territory. During the visit, the Army Chiefs received operational briefings from the commander of the 4th Special Forces Command, Major General Olutimi Awolo, and the commandant of the Nigerian Army Special Forces School, Brigadier General Maru Farouk Abubakar. He approved the construction of additional accommodation and critical facilities to improve training and troop welfare, while reiterating continued investment in logistics and modern combat enablers. The visit also featured a tree planting exercise within the cantonment, highlighting environmental sustainability, as Shaibu reaffirmed that Special Forces troops remain at the forefront of efforts to dismantle criminal networks threatening national security. The Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Mr. Wale Edun, has signed the presumptive tax policy with critical stakeholders into implementation. The minister in Abuja during the signing-in ceremony assured that the government seeks to enhance financial inclusivity to all strata of the society, with a view to lifting citizens out of poverty. Business correspondent Ile Emeje is standing by with details.
Briefing stakeholders at the signing of the presumptive tax framework in Abuja, Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Mr. Wale Edun, emphasized that the ceremony marks the transition from regulation to implementation, with a focus on transparency, equity, and economic inclusion for all Nigerians.
And with the signing of these regulations, we are transiting from legislation to structured implementation of the tax reform. Key message of today's event is anchored on transparency, fairness, clarity, indeed, equity and economic inclusion for all Nigerians.
While highlighting that the goal of the government is to protect small and medium enterprises across the nation, the minister disclosed that government is committed to growth-oriented reforms towards job creation and lifting millions of Nigerians out of poverty.
Our role is to ensure that tax administration must be coordinated, not fragmented. It must deliver results and impact to all Nigerians. Today's signing ceremony reinforces our commitment to fiscal stability, fairness, sustainable growth. We are building a system, as I said earlier, that works for all Nigerians. It's not just transparent and predictable, but it is growth-oriented, which is what is needed in Nigeria of today, and indeed in any country to be able to create jobs and lift the population in their millions out of poverty.
In their remarks, critical stakeholders, including the Executive Secretary, Joint Revenue Board, and the Chairman, National Tax Policy Implementation Committee, commended efforts of the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu-led administration for financial inclusion while reiterating effective implementation.
These regulations, sir, provides a framework, a uniform one for our subnationals regarding taxation of the informal sector. It upholds the principles of equity and fairness by ensuring that our nano and small businesses with an annual turnover of 12 million naira and below are exempted from tax.
Sustainable development requires sustainable revenue, and no modern economy can thrive on a narrow tax base. With today's signing, we move decisively from intention to execution. The real work continues. Implementation with discipline, transparency, and fairness on the interests of national progress. I'd like to thank all of you for witnessing this signing.
Ile Emeje, Aso Television News.
And on sports, the Nigeria Wheelchair Basketball Federation has invited 16 players to a closed camping program ahead of the 2026 Commonwealth Games qualifiers scheduled to take place in Angola. The Federation's media coordinator, Dare Kuti, disclosed this in a statement issued on Tuesday in Lagos. According to the statement, the national camping exercise will hold at Package B of the Moshood Abiola National Stadium, Abuja, from March 8 to March 21. In the men's category, the invited players include Shitu Musbao, Adetayo Kehinde, Abel Oluwasegun, Akinde Tony, Bali Oluwasegun, Dorowaju Babalola, Muhammad Moritala, and Riwan Abukadil. For the women's team, those invited are Olabisi, Nafisad Adefala, Amoko Patricia, Aishad Yahaya, Christiana Olua Lagba, Grace Nwa Ozuzu, and Folashade Ogbagbemi, the Commonwealth Games qualifying tournament, officially known as the 2026 IWBF Africa 3x3 Championship, will take place in Luanda, Angola from March 22 to March 27. President of the Federation, Oluwaseyi Johnson, expressed confidence in the team's preparedness and chances at the championship. He said the Federation is fully committed to ensuring Nigeria delivers an impressive performance at the tournament, which serves as a qualification pathway for the Commonwealth Games. And on the foreign scene, the 15th day of the Chinese Lunar New Year, marking the Lantern Festival, was celebrated at the Chinese Cultural Center in Abuja with a special Nigeria-China Women's Celebration ahead of the International Women's Day. On the Chinese New Year and Lantern Festival night, an event shared globally, families light lanterns to illuminate the full moon, enjoy meals and express their wishes for reunion, peace and happiness with loved ones. Let's join Joy Annie for more.
Using this year's Lantern Festival and the Nigeria-China Women's Carnival, both countries pledged to reaffirm strengthened cultural partnership in women's empowerment and their shared commitment to gender equality, education, and stronger people-to-people exchanges. The colorful event, hosted by the Embassy of China in Nigeria and organized by China Cultural Center, seeks to implement policies that will empower Nigeria-China women to thrive more globally.
By the time the global leaders meeting on women is held in Beijing in 2025, 690 million women in China have achieved a moderately prosperous society.
That was Mr. Yang Jiangjian, Cultural Counselor of Chinese Embassy and Director of China Cultural Center, Nigeria. He also highlighted that without development of women, the outstanding contributions significantly aimed at cultural development would not have been possible. The Permanent Secretary of Federal Ministry of Arts, Culture, Tourism and Creative Economy, Dr. Mukhtar Yawale, reaffirmed the ministry's commitment to further deepen cultural exchanges, expand tourism opportunities, and implement policies that empower women to thrive globally, describing the celebration as a beacon of continued cooperation and shared prosperity between both countries.
Of my ministry, we are deeply committed to elevating these ties. We will not rest on our laurels. We will implement policies that accelerate our progress in cultural exchanges, that empower our women to lead in the digital economy, and that expand our tourism frontiers.
The UNESCO representative, Mr. Ngome Abianga, described the festival as more than a cultural gathering, noting that it reflects the power of education and culture to build bridges between Nigeria and China.
That Nigeria has accomplished a lot of progress under the current government with different initiatives that really put women at the forefront of the nation's effort, and this is a way to go, and we would like to commend the Nigerian government for that, and we would like also to ensure that UNESCO is a reliable and relevant partner to accompany this.
He further commended the ongoing efforts Nigeria is making to expand economic opportunities for women and improve access to education for girls. The event featured cultural performances, exhibition, and traditional cuisine. In 2024, the Chinese New Year was inscribed on the UNESCO representative list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity, making it an important part of Spring Festival and also the full moon night of the Chinese Lunar New Year. Joy Annie, Aso Television News.
And that's the bulletin, but before we go, let's take another look at one of our major stories. President Tinubu nominates Taiwo Oyedele as Minister of State for Finance, reassigns Doris Anite Uzoka. I am Tina Oje Achi. Many thanks for watching.